Hello my friends, and welcome back to another watercolor tutorial. Today we are going to be painting a little snail, and this is inspired by karinartspace. So I wanted to try something a little bit different than what I usually do, which is landscape painting. And I thought that this was very adorable. In fact, no, never mind. I was gonna say, because I'm really into like homesteading stuff, and I saw a bunch of pictures from, I thought it was the same artist. It's all watercolor, but it's like jars of jam and like red aprons, that kind of stuff. It's just so aesthetically painted that I also want to do that in the future as well. But I thought this was the same artist, but it's not. Anywho, I just have a random piece of plastic here that I'm going to use to mix my colors. So I'm taking gray and mixing it with green. And this is going to be the body of the snail. So I've already went ahead and sketched out my snail with a pencil as a guideline. So you can do the same. You can trace something off of the internet. You can print something out and trace that onto your piece of paper. Whatever you're comfortable with, you can do that. And yeah, I'm just going to start with the body, which is gray. And I mean, this should be a fairly quick tutorial. It's not just going to be the snail. I'm going to add a cute border as well. But it shouldn't be too long of a tutorial, which is nice because I have been trying to do a few tutorials that aren't as long as my last few have been. I've had a lot of almost hour-long, 40-minute to an hour-long tutorials, and I don't mind the fact that they're that long, but it does take me significantly longer. Like if I have one tutorial that takes an hour, or I could have two tutorials that take an hour, like together are an hour. It's the same amount of time that I've spent, but I have double the output. And that is really important to me when my time is stretched thin these days. I just want to thank my past self in previous years for pre-painting tutorials going into the summer. I've said this in a few tutorials, but just in case you're a new viewer, in previous years, I always pre-painted the entire summer by like May. So I would have had up until the end of September done by May, so that I had the whole summer off from painting. And this worked for me really, really well, and I didn't realize how well until this year, which was the first year I didn't do that. And maybe not the first year, but it's been a really long time since I haven't done that, and it is quite the difference. Sorry, I just lifted off some paint in the center. I wanted the edges to be darkened, or I guess giving off more of a shadow, and then the center to be a little bit lighter. Just because this is a very simple painting, I do want to put in a little bit extra effort into it. So that's why I did that the way that I did. And now we're going to work on the shell. I'm just kind of worried about waiting. Maybe I should wait for this to dry, because I don't want the brown shell to bleed into the body of the snail. So while that's kind of drying, I'm just gonna quickly do a little border around this guy. So I'm debating whether to just have a simple circle or maybe I'll just do a simple circle or an oval. Maybe an oval would have been nicer since this is in landscape position. You don't have to do yours in landscape, of course. You could do whatever you want, but I did. So this I will eventually fill with flowers at the end, probably. Yeah, so it wasn't really until this summer when I didn't pre-film, pre-paint my tutorials for the summer that I realized how much of a game changer that was. Because the summer is so busy. There's just, I don't want to spend time inside in the summer. The weather is so nice compared to the winter. Like the winter, you're inside all the time. It's dark and sad and you don't want to be outside. It's cold. And so in the summer, I want to spend all the time that I can outside and doing all the tasks and things associated with that. So it's been a big challenge to keep up with tutorials the last few months. So this is so not me, being in this chronic habit of like, oh my gosh, I have no tutorial prepped for like the next day. So that's been something I've really struggled with. And then I'll get ahead by like 2 weeks. I'll have 2 weeks of pre-painting done, and then somehow those 2 weeks get super duper busy, and then I lose that lead again. So that's kind of where I've been, unfortunately. In terms of the painting and stuff. So, but I need to, I don't know if I'm gonna disclose why on this channel, but I really need to have a bunch of things pre-painted by November. I need at least, by November, I have to have at least until, I would say March painted. That's gonna be a doozy. I don't know how I'm gonna be able to manage that, but I'm putting it out there. Maybe I'll get some sort of inspiration to do that. It needs to be done, because if it's not done, if I don't have stuff pre-painted by November, then there's just going to be no content for a few months. So let that be my motivation. Or maybe I will say why, but only on my Patreon. I will think about this. Anyway, your shell doesn't have to be super accurate or like detailed. I do want, again, that center to be lighter than all of the edges. Today, my permanent retainer broke. So that's just the wire that they put on the inside of your teeth that is permanently there after you've had braces removed. And yeah, part of it kind of became loose. The the glue, I guess, that holds it in place fell off, and so the wire was just loose. And I had the brilliant idea of nail clipping it because it was bothering the heck out of me. I couldn't eat anything without this thing twisting everywhere. And then I quickly realized, oh, like now that end that I cut off is super sharp and it was cutting my tongue and irritating it. And I tried gum, like putting gum on top of that wire, but I mean, gum is not really permanent or sticky, so as soon as I would talk or open my mouth, it would just, you know, move. So that didn't work. And then I was like, because back when I had braces, they give you this wax, I guess you would call it, for braces. If the brackets are irritating your gums, you just put the wax on top. I don't know if it was actually wax. I don't know what it was. But I was like, hey, I wonder if beeswax would do the same thing. And I've got plenty of beeswax candles, so I just kind of chipped a piece off, stuck it on there, and it works like a charm. I can eat, I can talk. And you're probably like, why don't you just go to a dentist? Well, I live, let's see, 3.5 hours away from my dentist. Plus my dentist just got a complicated story, but he's not practicing in the place that he practiced for many years. And so I'm waiting until he opens up a new clinic somewhere so I can continue going to him, because I really trust him. He has my dental records for the last 20 years, basically. So I really trust him as a dentist. I mean, I'm just wondering how long I can keep going with this shell. You could technically keep going indefinitely, but I'm going to maybe wait until it dries a little bit more and then define it, because at the moment I'm not too happy with what it looks like. I do want to give it a little bit more definition. So what can we do in the meantime? We can paint grass around our snail body if we would like. We need to add a face to our snail body. So I'm gonna just switch to my size quadruple 0. And I'm gonna pick up some green. And we could just add some grassy strands at the base of our snail. So you could either have the grassy strands overlapping a little bit, I do want the green to be a different green than the snail. Otherwise it'll be hidden a little bit. So when I'm filming this, it is end of June. And I can't believe that it's already the end of June. Like, what? In one perspective, I'm thinking time is going by way too quick in the summer. I live for the summer, and I can't imagine experiencing another winter so soon, because winters have never been my favorite, but especially now with a child, it is really, really hard. Because going outside in the summer, I think, has saved my mental health as a mother, because there's just so much more to do. There's so many more options. Where was I going with that? Oh, yes. And then on the other hand, if we weren't this far into summer, then I wouldn't be close to harvesting things from my garden. So I can't complain too much about where we are in the season, even though I want to. I am really looking forward to fall though. That is definitely a really nice little solace, I guess you could say, to the end of summer, is the smells and the colors of the leaves and everything pumpkin themed. Like Instagram turns into this like cozy fall cafe, if you know what I'm talking about. Okay, sorry, where are we? Let's paint a little fern or something in front of this snail. You don't have to. You can leave it or paint something else. I might do, so I'm gonna do a fern and then some mushrooms maybe. So this year, so I basically painted the shape of a candy cane, the best way I can describe it. And then I'm just adding lines on either side of that candy cane for my fern. So it looks something like this. Maybe I'll have another little one sticking out on this side, a little bit straighter this time, slightly different green. And then add some grassy details to it as well, so that it's not just floating. And finally, I'm gonna also add some mushrooms. Orange, red. These are not supposed to be overly detailed, so please don't get caught up on that. I usually do. So I'm kind of saying this out loud for both of us. I'm going to take, I have this kind of eggshell yellow color because it's really opaque. And I'm just going to add tiny little dots to my grass to make it look like there is there are some flowers growing in between the grass. I'm okay with that. My snail is sort of on a slope, but I can't, or at least I choose not to do anything about that at this moment. Anyways, let's fix that shell now that it has hopefully dried for the most part. So I have a question for anyone that is qualified to answer. Ever since, I mean, before my child started sleeping through the night, that's kind of a blur, so I'm not counting for that. But when my toddler started sleeping through the night, before she turned a year, like well before she turned a year, but it was at a year that I dropped the night feed. So let's just say from a year onward, so it's been almost a year that she's been sleeping through the night. When we put her to bed at 7, I just am so mentally and physically spent from the day that I just sit on the couch and I do really nothing productive until our bedtime at 10 p.m. And I'm just wondering if anyone else has experienced something similar. When did you get your energy in the evenings back? Because I'm a little bit discouraged of basically, like I've got 2.5 solid hours in the evening where baby is sleeping, and I can't do anything, or at least I don't want to do anything. So I just sit on the couch and first it was like playoff hockey was on, so that was my excuse. That's what I did for the entire evening. But then when that ended, I just reverted back to scrolling endlessly or doing nothing productive, which is not ideal. Like I am not that kind of person. I don't like feeling that way when I totally could be using those hours to paint, which is what I'm doing now because I've forced myself, because I've got nothing ready for the next upload day. But I used to be so productive all day, not just on weekends when my husband can watch our toddler in the hours where I have energy, which is the morning. So if you've ever had a similar predicament, when did you start feeling up for, when did you get your energy back in the evening, where you put your child down for bed and you're like, yeah, let's go garden, or let's go for a walk or something, read a book, anything that uses your brain, because seriously, sitting on the couch and scrolling does not use your brain. And that's what I need in this kind of part of my life. But give me a little bit of hope. Let's see here. We have to give our little guy eyes and a nose. So I'm just taking black. That nose is way too big. I'm gonna have to use a little bit of white acrylic paint, I think. Okay, another random thing that no one probably cares about very much, but the weather forecast has been so incredibly incorrect for the last very long time that it's frustrating. For instance, it calls for rain, a lot of rain. It was calling for rain yesterday and today for a very long time, and then yesterday came around and nothing fell, and all of a sudden it changed, and it was like all the rain is going to fall on Friday today. Nothing fell. It did not rain. Now it's supposed to all fall overnight, but it's frustrating because like I haven't been watering my garden, banking on this fictitious rain that is not coming. So I don't know what's up with the weather people. Maybe I'm judging too harshly because I really have no clue. But it is frustrating to plan anything. And then, you know, they don't call for rain and it randomly starts raining out of nowhere. So you tell me. I'm just adding these little rings around my shelf for some more detail, but I don't think I like that look. I might just try to undo that by running a moist brush around there and just lifting that back off. Okay, so this is looking cute. I wish I could go in. I hope that's not blurry. I zoomed in a little bit because I wanted you to see a little bit more of the detail. Okay, now this color is a very unique color, and no, you don't need this specific color, and I don't need this specific color, but it's like an eggshell olive green. It's a very beautiful color, and I would like to use it, but I don't have this kind of color in my palette. So I either attempt to make it, no idea how, or I just settle for the green that I have. I'm gonna try and make it, because I do have eggshell colors in my palette, so that will provide the opacity and chalkiness that I'm looking for, the eggshell look. And then I just need the tone from some of the other greens. I think that's okay. Again, this is very unnecessary and extra, but you know, I really like the color. So for this part, I don't know if you want to commit to what I'm about to commit to, and I might somehow modify this in a way so that I don't have to do this manually. If you have a pen and you want to just do this in black, that's probably a much faster way of doing what I'm embarking on at the moment. My throat was very itchy, in case you were wondering what that sound was. My siblings always thought I was very strange for making that sound. But I'm basically like sucking my throat inside, and it kind of scratches my esophagus. I don't know how else to describe it. My husband also thinks it's very strange, but gets the job done. Is this on camera? Was that even on camera? I hope it was. So again, completely not a necessary step here, but does add a little bit of variety to our painting. My mom is going to be visiting next week again, and I'm really looking forward to that, because when she comes, she kind of takes over childcare largely so that we can get stuff done. And I mean, the last few times she's come, it's been absolutely necessary. She came for like a week or two at a time because we had things that we absolutely had to do. They were on a time constraint, or they were just very time consuming, or they needed both my husband and I at the same time. So for instance, last time it was the landscaping. We got sod in, and we were gonna lay the sod ourselves because it saves a lot of money. not having a company install it. And sod needs to be installed like the same day it's delivered, or the grass dries out. And you can definitely see that on the parts that I didn't get to until the next day. I laid half on the first day and the other half on the second day, but the, you know, last few that I laid on the second day have a lot of dead patches in them. Anyway, my point is my mom came for those very necessary moments where we needed childcare for days on end, and she was amazing, as she always is. And this time she's coming just because she always comes and visits us in the summer. Since we live in cottage country, it's very pleasant to come and visit here, whether childcare is required or not. So she's coming, and it'll be really nice to have a bit of a reprieve. Is that the right word? A little bit of a break from childcare for a little bit that I will hopefully be able to use to paint instead of all those other necessary things that absolutely had to be done when they were being done. So hopefully I'll get my act together and paint, get ahead in the painting department. I have considered just not painting in the summer because my views for the months of June, July, and August are pretty abysmal. Like, I'm not gonna get into numbers here, but it's it's very discouraging. It's very discouraging to see those numbers and still have to continue to paint. Sorry, I'm just experimenting here, seeing if I can fill some of these little leaflets in to have a bit of variety in this painting. Right now, you know what? I'm gonna say right now I'm painting for fun. Like what I'm doing right now, this experimentation is just because I feel like doing it. This is a fun little painting. I'm not very stressed out by it because it's definitely a painting that I would do if I was sitting in my garden, just smelling the flowers in a summer dress. This is the kind of thing that I would enjoy painting. And the last thing I'm going to do that I think might bring this together is fill this background in. The reference photo that I'm looking at also has that, but I'm nervous because I don't have this color. So I'm going to take this random tan that I have and water the heck out of it so that it's kind of barely visible. And what I'm doing is just filling in basically everything within the circle with this color. It's a little bit intimidating because I don't want to wet everything and reactivate all the paint. I'm sure there's a better method to doing this, maybe painting it first and then painting on top, perhaps, but this will work. We will make this work. Okay, it's a little too yellow for my liking, but that's okay. I'm gonna leave it at that. Thank you very much for watching this tutorial, my friends. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will be sure to see you in the next one.